While the three main players in the PC space seem more interested in the data center than client-side business, in a conference that's traditionally tailored to consumers, Qualcomm went all in on PC, with the Snapdragon X series SoCs taking center stage in their keynote, and a timed exclusive partnership with Microsoft's Copilot Plus featured throughout. Qualcomm wants the PC to be reborn, and both ARM and OEMs believe that within 5 years, ARM-based machines could represent more than 50% of the market. What does this mean for Intel and AMD? And more importantly, how will this transition affect PC enthusiasts?
This video is sponsored by urcdkeys.com. If you pay full price for a Windows 11 key, you are wasting your money. Instead, you can get a Windows 11 OEM key from urcdkeys.com for just over $29, or even lower at $21.86 if you use my coupon code C25 at checkout. All URCD Keys product keys are on sale right now, so don't miss the Super Spring sale. Follow the link below to the Windows 11 page at urcdkeys.com. Click Purchase, enter your C25 discount code. You can pay with a credit card or PayPal, and then just add the Windows key to your Windows activation settings and you're done. The code is sent to you within minutes, by the way. You can also use my C25 code on other products, so if you need Office 2019, make sure to get it from urcdkeys.com for a much lower price than retail. Check the exclusive links in the video description to get your cheap OEM Windows or Office keys today from urcdkeys.com.
Qualcomm CEO Cristiano Amon opened the keynote by reminding the audience that they are transitioning from a communications company to a connected computing company, and jumped straight into talking about the PC. How refreshing, after multiple computex keynotes of companies patting themselves on the back for 20 minutes and then talking about the potential of AI, it's nice to see a company get straight to the point to actual products, which is what you'd expect at a consumer-focused conference like Computex. Cristiano announced that 22 different Copilot devices are already confirmed to be launching soon. Soon as in next week, with the next series Qualcomm SoC, including new Surface laptops and the ever-popular ThinkPad T14. These will have the X Elite or the X Plus inside, and these 22 devices are just the first wave of laptops. If laptops are not your thing, don't worry, Qualcomm's got you covered, as the Snapdragon X and Copilot Plus are coming to all PC form factors. So that's all-in-ones, mini PCs, tablets, and convertibles. I don't see the quintessential tower PC on the slide, but more on that later. Among the cool new capabilities these Copilot Plus PCs will have, leveraging AI, are the tutorial-like interactive videos with AI teachers, for instance to learn a new instrument, and also automatic language translation in video conferencing. I wonder if this live translation can be applied to media like movies and especially YouTube videos, as that would open up whole new markets for content creators like myself, in the sense that my videos could be automatically translated into Chinese, for instance. Oh right, YouTube is blocked in China, but you get the point. Essentially, you can see the journey towards a personal AI OS like the Samantha one in the movie Her taking form with Copilot Plus, or at least the promise is there. I know there will be skeptics, and it's always good to be cautious of any company or platform that wants to use your personal data to supposedly better your experience, but if the demos are any indication, I think the sheer convenience of many of the Copilot apps will win people over, even if some questionable practices emerge as being used to profit from your data. And that also applies to Apple's newly announced Apple Intelligence ecosystem, of course. As far as performance per watt, Cristiano compared the X Elite at idle normalized power to Apple's M3 and Intel's Ultra 7 155H, with a 2.6x uplift versus the M3 and an incredible 5.4x versus the Ultra 7. That's at ISO power, mind you, a metric that will be important for some use cases but not all. And of course we're talking about the NPU performance here, not overall performance. We'll get to things like gaming in a minute. Now, Microsoft has claimed that they rebuilt Windows 11 to take full advantage of the Snapdragon X chips, so there's some degree of hardware and software co-design here that's similar to what Apple has been doing since they transitioned from Intel silicon to Apple silicon. So in effect, Microsoft and Qualcomm are creating a PC platform that is akin to Apple's, where the software is designed around the hardware's capabilities, but the hardware itself is designed around emerging new workloads that the market is adopting, in this case AI, with the promise of increased productivity and better results, and the fact that no company wants to miss out on anything AI related in case they lose competitiveness. I think Microsoft and Qualcomm have the right idea here, and as entrenched as the incumbents are, not only is Copilot Plus exclusive to Qualcomm at launch, it's also a mobile-first strategy, clearly aimed at the masses of admin and services jobs that will be wanting to transition their employees' laptops to take advantage of all these new AI features at the OS level, with all the advantages that has. Intel and AMD, with their fingers in many pies, have to cater to a lot of different segments at once, and are not as hyper-focused on mobile as Qualcomm is. This is of course a strategy that worked well for Apple, who used the MacBook and iPad products as the foundation for their hardware plus software co-design, and then gradually expanded to other segments like desktops and workstations. Microsoft realized that neither Intel nor AMD could be leveraged to emulate Apple's mobile-first strategy to its full extent, and Qualcomm turned out to be the perfect partner, having a team of former Apple engineers in their ranks also helping to sell their case. This partnership between Qualcomm and Microsoft really has to hurt deep at Intel and AMD's hearts, whose x86 inflexible nature ends up limiting what the software can do on their platform, or at best taking several years before certain features get natively supported on the hardware level, always depending on Intel to add new extensions and features. Qualcomm seems to have laser focused on this advantage of having their own hardware team, which you might recall was originally NVidia, and are now launching the PC version of the Apple ecosystem, but with the more open nature that Windows has been known for. Honestly, I think the only company right now that's prepared to pursue a similar strategy is NVidia, and in part 2 of the NVidia video I launched a few days ago, I will cover how Jensen and company will be implementing their own AI PC ecosystem. But as far as AMD and Intel are concerned, they should really be shaking in their boots, as the client PC market is about to be pilfered from them. I do think Intel will be fine. They have the fabs, so that means they won't go anywhere, especially with all the grants they are getting from governments and all the associated contracts. But AMD seems to me like they could be in some dire straits. The Strix APUs might be a make it or break it moment for Lisa's team, and I'll be covering those APUs very soon here on the channel. Ironically, I suspect AMD might be IBMing themselves in the not too distant future. One of my favorite features of Copilot Plus has to be the integration of generative AI, particularly for generating images. I've already been using generative AI for creating my thumbnails, and having that functionality be integrated into the OS should allow for quicker creation and better results. At least I hope so. Microsoft has also announced that DaVinci Resolve will use the Copilot Plus runtime and the Snapdragon Axis NPU. That's the program that I use to edit my videos, so I'm definitely curious as to how that will improve my workflow and results. One demo that's already been shown is how the Magic Mask tool, which used to run on the GPU as a computer vision app, has been converted to run on the NPU as a neural network for a performance uplift of 3x compared to running it on a GPU. But the killer feature that I think could really dictate who stays and who goes is video generation, particularly with long and cohesive results that could allow users to create promotional videos for their businesses, fun and creative videos that people can start uploading to YouTube that were never possible before, and of course some other kinds of videos that will open all sorts of cans of worms. Whoever gets video generation right and is the first to market could have a massive advantage. The problem is, how do you train a model on millions of videos without having said videos? YouTube CEO Neil Mohan said in a recent interview that some of the content on YouTube could already be used to train their internal models. models, but that they are respecting the terms of service, which say the majority of the content is owned by the creator themselves. In other words, YouTube is probably, almost certainly, one would imagine, training their models on their massive library of videos. And once the training is done, they will update the terms of service and claim that all your bases belong to us. A lawsuit will ensue, but by the time that is true, Google will have likely the best video generation tool on the market. At least that's one possibility that seems very likely to me. Now, another reason I suspect that Copilot Plus is a timed exclusive with Qualcomm might have something to do with the need for the NPU to be running continuously, even when you're not actively doing anything with the machine. The minimum 40 teraops bar that Microsoft set is there for a reason, and Copilot will likely require the NPU to be running constantly in the background, even when you're not doing anything or are just passively consuming content. For example, let's say you have the habit of checking the profiles of actors while you watch a movie. You know, things like other movies they've been in, what's their age or their height, who their partner is, and the Copilot AI learns that behavior. Well, now while you are watching movies, the NPU could be doing facial recognition on every actor in the movie and sending their profiles to your phone, so you can actively engage with the movie, along with fun facts or quizzes or whatever level of interruption you like to have with your movies. In addition to that, maybe the NPU will want to throw in some personalized ads for the product placement that is paying for the latest superhero flick. Most people already have a hard time focusing on a movie or TV series without constantly checking their phones, so it only seems natural to decrease people's attention span even further, and an always working NPU will be required for that hellish reality to materialize. So this, of course, requires a greater focus on energy efficiency and thermals. Qualcomm had a slide precisely comparing thermals in 1 hour of continuous NPU usage versus Intel's Ultra 7 155H, and you can see the Intel-based machine having to deal with a lot more heat being generated in the SoC area. So devices with AMD and Intel hardware will likely take longer to validate, as Microsoft needs to be sure that they won't be setting laptops on fire with an always active NPU or having the machines throttling and providing a bad user experience. Microsoft will want to be cautious with opening up Copilot Plus features to vendors, and I would imagine they will want a tight control over NPU performance and heat management, key areas where Qualcomm has a significant advantage compared to Intel and AMD. It should be noted that some workloads that were previously running on the GPU will now be transitioning to the NPU, and that will have great benefits when it comes to heat generation. Microsoft showed a 20-degree delta between an NPU and the GPU running the same task. One really interesting feature that I think will compete head-to-head with NVidia is Qualcomm's AI Hub, which has 100 plus pre-optimized AI models that you, as a developer, can use. I will cover that in more detail in the second part of NVIDIA's new accelerator videos, coming shortly to the channel. As far as gaming is concerned, Microsoft has a new translation layer to emulate x86 programs called Prism, which is akin to Apple's Rosetta. I asked around to see if people had tested latency performance for gaming during computex, but no one I asked did. I will for sure get an Elite X-based device to test at one point or another, so I'll have a deeper analysis of gaming on these devices then. Qualcomm announced that there are currently over 1,200 plus games being optimized for the X Elite, and CEO Cristiano Amon emphasized the potential of using large language models to create immersive experiences with NPCs, for instance. It's also worth noting that Windows 11 will now have a native AI upscaler for games, and that FSR is actually also supported on the Snapdragon X SoCs, so that should help with gaming performance on these chips. I'm honestly not expecting great raw performance. I'd say probably around the level of a Radeon 6500 XT, so that's about an RX 580 or a GTX 1060 6GB. That's probably about enough for 1080p gaming at low to medium settings in less demanding titles, and in AAA titles I'd expect 30 FPS with FSR or ASR. So really nothing spectacular but serviceable. I think this is definitely one area where Intel and AMD will still have an advantage for the foreseeable future. But the fact that Qualcomm's SoC is already able to run games on the level of a discrete GPU that still sells for around $160 could preclude perhaps a dedicated Adreno GPU coming down the road that could compete at a higher level of performance. And that, in turn, could perhaps open the door for a traditional PC tower in some form or another, based on ARM silicon with a discrete ARM GPU and perhaps even a discrete NPU, who knows. And by the way, if you want to know which Windows games will currently run on ARM, check the video description where I've linked to a website that has all of the supported games so you can search for your faves. I looked up Starfield, which is one of the few games I still play, and it's not on there. And in fact, looking at the top 10 games on Steam, PUBG doesn't work on ARM yet, Apex Legends isn't compatible, Naraka also isn't supported, GTA 5 is listed as playable but not with perfect compatibility, Rust is also not on the compatibility list, and neither is Destiny 2 or Elden Ring. So of the top 10 games on Steam right now, 6 are not currently compatible with ARM silicon. I'd say that's pretty bad support for gaming, but we'll have to see how things evolve in the coming months. It's safe to say that at least at launch, the machines rocking Qualcomm's X SoCs should not be on your list of purchases for gaming, but that's certainly something that will improve over time. As far as specific devices that caught my eye, the new Surface laptops are certainly the most intriguing, especially with such competitive prices compared to the previous generations, starting at $1,000 for the base model with 16GB of RAM and the X Plus SoC, but you'll be able to configure them upwards of $2,000. The one thing that concerns me a bit is the memory configuration options. Judging by some of the demos shown, it looks like 16GB devices might run out of resources with all this AI stuff running, especially if Windows 11 with Copilot gobbles up memory with background tasks. It should also be noted that for the mobile devices based on these chips, so that's laptops, tablets, etc., you're not only getting a powerful PC SoC, but it's also a Snapdragon SoC, all the pedigree that comes from the mobile connectivity that Qualcomm has developed over the years, particularly for mobile phones, so there could be an additional unique selling point there. So to conclude this one, as a PC enthusiast, I'm both excited and apprehensive as to what this transition to ARM could mean for our niche. Companies that could be left behind by this partnership between Microsoft and Qualcomm are Google, Adobe, and to a greater degree, AMD and Intel, at least on the client side of things. Google will now be competing against Microsoft, or rather OpenAI's GPT-4, in both Apple and Windows devices, with the latter being integrated on the OS level. I don't know about you, but it seems to me that Google's days as a search engine are numbered. Google will be around as a company, of course, but their search engine and ad business are in serious trouble if most people adopt AI-based search at the OS level. You get better search with things like ChatGPT and Perplexity AI than with Google already, and that's on the browser level. As for Adobe, they are fairly entrenched in pro environments, but I think they have met their end at the consumer level. For most people, Photoshop will no longer be needed, and with Adobe's recurring anti-consumer practices, I think they could also be in trouble. And as for AMD and Intel, like I said earlier, while Intel has the fab business to fall back on, AMD is heavily reliant on x86 innovations and extensions for their chips to have a place in the market. With ARM-based chips seemingly taking over the PC space, AMD's already precarious position in the client space will face even more headwinds. If you haven't yet, you should check out my video from a couple of weeks ago where I discuss why I think AMD needs new leadership, where I go deep into several of AMD's challenges in the years to come. It could be the case that the PC landscape, which was already shrinking, will be something like 60% ARM and 40% Intel in the coming years, with AMD being forced to focus on compute and data center alone. I hope I'm wrong, and I'm hoping to see truly stellar performance from AMD's Voltron chips, the upcoming Strix series APUs, which I will cover here on the channel soon. Subscribe to the channel as this analysis will continue soon from the perspective of everyone's favorite company, NVidia. This video was made possible by my awesome patrons, and you can become a supporter today. And for just $2 per month, get exclusive access to the Cortex Discord server. Share this video with others, as that will really help my channel grow. Thanks for watching, and until the next one.